question is, do these two things add up?
No!
Let's take a look at what else has happened so far this conference.
Weak targets. In Copenhagen, the United States pledged to reduce emissions 17% by 2020. Here in Doha, the United States reaffirmed that it intends to honor that pledge. However, the best science out there makes it clear we need 85% emission reductions by 2050. In order to reach that target, the United States needs to rapidly ramp up its emission pledges. The United States should more than double its 2020 target to put us on track to accomplish what is scientifically necessary to avoid a world that is warmer than 2 degrees.
So again, we pose the question, does this add up?
No!
Let's take a look at what else has happened.
We've seen no clarity on how we will reach our targets. The Obama administration has yet to put forward any clear plan on how it intends to meet its meager 17% reduction pledge. If a plan has been formulated, it should be publicized to create public buy-in and demonstrate transparency. If a plan has not been developed, one has to wonder how serious the 17% pledge is. Any goal without an action plan remains merely a goal. Hope is not a strategy.
So again, does this add up?
No!
Let's take a look at one other thing that's been going on.
The U.S. came close to passing climate change legislation in 2009. Despite this, the administration continues to claim that it cannot take leadership in this process. The administration cannot continue to hide behind the legislative branch. The realities of American politics do affect this process, but do not affect President Obama's ability to use executive authority to lead at this conference. Take executive action, President Obama. Redefine the national conversation and bring us back to an agreement worth fighting for.
Does this add up?
No!
Admittedly, there has been some movement by the U.S. delegation towards a more reasonable dialogue and recognition of the urgency of climate change. However, that movement has just been baby steps towards where we need to go. Baby steps that are out of touch with the reality of science. The U.S. negotiating teams claims that the U.S. is taking enormous steps forward and making great progress. No one believes that. We all know what that would look like. Instead, we've seen the type of actions one would expect from a leader who's begrudgingly dealing with an issue that he doesn't apparently care about. It appears that once again, the U.S. has instructed its negotiators to bring back the weakest agreement possible based on what is feasibly possible in Congress. These cynical assumptions underlying this decision ignore the strength of the growing youth-led climate movement. President Obama, you've toured cities and towns destroyed by wildfires. You've toured drought-stricken West, and you have toured the devastation of Hurricane Sandy. You know that climate change is real. You've seen what a 1-degree warming looks like, and you've consoled families that have lost everything. You've also promised to take leadership on climate change. And on this promise, the youth elected you for a second term. If we didn't really believe that you were going to take action on the most important issue of our generation, we wouldn't have carried you to victory in Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. You have a political mandate, a historic responsibility, and a moral requirement to take bold leadership on climate change, both here at the UN and back home. Your climate legacy will be the greatest legacy of your presidency, whether you like it or not. Indeed, climate change is the most serious threat the world has ever faced. On behalf of youth and everyone who worked tirelessly to get you reelected, I have to ask, what could possibly be more important in your second term than addressing climate change? What will be your climate legacy? Will you be the president who solves climate change and avoids a 4 to 6 degree world that is entirely unstable? Or will you be the president that takes no action? We await your answer in your inaugural address.